Hey guys, Luke here, and the Orca 9's is tomorrow, so I thought it was about time we went through and we took a look at all the squads for all 16 teams, take a look at all the pools, kind of give my quick thoughts on the players who are playing, a lot of the youngsters, a lot of unknowns, some legends playing, even an AFL guy playing. So let's take a look at the teams. First off, we're going to be taking a look at Pool 1. That consists of the Panthers, the Warriors, the Roosters, and the Knights. So starting off with the Panthers, it looks like a pretty strong team here. It looks like they've named most of their first grade players. Probably, I'm going to assume it's probably one of the stronger teams of the whole tournament, considering some of the names that are playing. Edwards is a first grader. Actually, let's just go first grade players. So we have Edwards, Mansour, Vare. Naden has played a bit of first grade. I know Crichton has too. Jerome Luai and Cleary will probably be their halves this year. Leota, Coruscant, Hetherington, Kickout, Billy Burns, Martin Ellis, Dane Laurie. I don't know if that's the same Dane Laurie who was playing a little while ago. Maybe he's back. Burton, I don't know him. Aiken and Smithy. There's only like a handful of players I don't know and haven't played first grade. So just based off that, I'm going to assume, considering some of the other teams that I've seen little snippets of, I'm going to say Panthers are going to go pretty well in this. Moving on to the Warriors, they're usually a pretty strong team in the Nines. Haven't won it, but usually put a solid dent in the competition. Kieran, Momalo, Perm, Cozy, Turner, Tane Milne, Papali. I mean, there's a few players here. Blake Green there, another one, Leeson Armour. Chanel Harris-Tavita, I think Harris-Tavita will do really well in this. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the players of the tournament. I feel like he really fits this format. But in terms of their side, it's not one of the strongest sides they fielded, considering, previous years. Although in previous years it was in Auckland, so they kind of need to go all out, considering it was, so their home game essentially, where not so much anymore. And no Sean Johnson, no Tompkins, none of those sort of players, and no Tuivasa Sheck, which is quite interesting. So yeah, the Warriors, I'm sure they'll play half decent. I mean, the Warriors sort of suit this format, but in terms of just star power, not the best. Now moving on to the Roosters, just looking at it straight away, within 2 seconds, I can see that this is a very, very weak side. I'm assuming, I think, is the World Club Challenge on around this time. I'm assuming they're going to be resting players for it. Now, just looking through the team, Drew Hutchison's played a little bit of first grade. Lindsay Collins is there. Lachlan Lamb and Sam Verrills. Apart from that, though, all a bunch of unknowns, which, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to make it out of their pool, but it could make for some interesting games. We've seen in under 20s in previous years, they know how to throw the ball around, so shouldn't be a problem in the Nines. But yeah, the Roosters side very lacking in the star power, especially considering who is actually plays for the Roosters. So a little bit disappointing, but I can understand why with all the competitions on that they're playing in at the moment. And last but not least, in Pool 1, we have the Newcastle Knights. Looking at their side, there's a few players there. Obviously, no Callum Ponga. It is quite disappointing, though. I saw him play for Australia in the World Cup Nines live in person, and I thought he was quite disappointing. So maybe Nines isn't his format, surprisingly. But looking at the players, Aiden Guerra, Kurt Mann. I feel like Kurt Mann will actually go pretty well. Heimel Hunt, Cerny Matadia. Kurt Gidley is their legend player, so it's pretty cool that he's playing for them. Obviously did a lot for the Knights, a club legend really. Mason Leonor, Mitchell Barnett, I think he'll do pretty well. Safidi's there as well. They've got a handful of first graders, but they do have an absolute superstar in Shibasaki. I actually know how to pronounce his name now. I'm sure Broncos fans are laughing everywhere with that comment I just made. So that's Pool 1 out of the way. Moving on to Pool 2, we have the Bulldogs, the Dragons, the Eels, and the Sharks. So starting off with my Bulldogs, their team actually is half decent. There's enough first graders in there, a lot more than I thought there would be. Just looking at it, Nick Meaney, Ockenbaugh, Holland. I feel like Harper is another one who could do quite well in the Nines format. I feel like we've got a lot of good players for the Nines format. As opposed to some other teams. Although we haven't got a whole first grade team, the guys we have picked should be quite good. Guys like Meaney and stuff are quite small and nippy, and I think they'll suit that style big time. But Andrew Ryan is our legend. I've seen him playing the Legends of League. The guy can still go. Obviously, probably not first grade standard, but I think he should be at least half decent for the Nines here. But yeah, I'm interested to see how some of these other youngsters go. Guys like Dean Britt, who have come across from the Rabbitohs. I want to see how he goes. Joe Stimson's first outing in the Bulldogs jersey. So yeah, it's exciting things to come for the Bulldogs in the Nines, I think. I'd like to hope so anyways. Now moving on to the Dragons, the team who I said had the best jersey. Do they have the best lineup though? Ewan Aiken and include Dufty, Frizzell, Phil and Mono. I think he's pretty decent. I remember using him on one of the Rugby League games. Absolute gun. So obviously going to translate to real life for sure. Ben Hunt, Lafayette, Laurie Nightingale is their legend. They even have Tristan Saylor, a few youngsters, Willie Army, Jaden Sullivan. I heard good things about him. They do actually have a pretty solid team. I do expect them to go quite well in this. Whether they'll win it, who knows? But they've got enough, I think, to probably get out of the group stages. But Ben Hunt, I think he'll suit the Nines. Guys like Dufty, Ewan Aiken, I think will do quite well as well. So, yeah, the Dragons side, it does look pretty good. Now, moving on to the Eels side, Blake Ferguson there is a big inclusion. Gutherson and Takarangi, I think they'll suit the Nines. George Jennings, another one. Looks like they've actually fielded a very, very strong side. Sevo, I think he's been cleared to play. Mitchell Moses, he's easily the best player in the World Cup Nines. I expect him to play really well. In fact, just looking at this Eels lineup, I would say they'd have to be up there with being the favourites for this. That side looks like an absolute gun 9 side. Don't necessarily think the same in terms of, the 13er side, but the 9er side, I think they'll be right up there. Madison, Sean Lane, they got a lot of skillful guys who can move as well as some size. So, yeah, this Eels side is looking really, really good. Now, moving on to the last team of the group, we have Wade Graham, Nakora. I think they're pretty good plays for the Nines. I think Jack Williams, he's got pretty good speed. He'll be all right. Woods, Brayley, Josh Morris, Ramian. I mean, this is another team that's looking quite strong. Soni Katoa is pretty strong, he's pretty quick. But the star of this show will be Sean Johnson, you would assume. He was outstanding for the Warriors when he played. He's back at the Sharks this time, and I can see them going very, very well. Along with them and the Eels, this is going to be a tough group. I was saying the Bulldogs are like a chances. I don't think so. Just looking at the rest of these teams, the rest of the squads, I think we're going to struggle. Now, moving on to Pool 3, we have the Raiders, the Tigers, the Titans, and the Rabbitohs. So looking at the Raiders team first, obviously the grand finalists in the regular season. What's their Nines team like? It doesn't look too good. Looking at their side, looks like they've rested a lot of players, a lot of sort of reserve graders. Sam Williams is there, Sleeva Havili, C.S. Oliola, Elliot Whitehead probably go decent, Ryan Sutton. Yeah, there's a few first graders sprinkled in there, but just in terms of the rest of the teams we've seen, definitely one of the weaker ones, but hey, you never know. Now we move on to the Tigers side, just a quick little skim through their side. Pat Richards is their legend. The rest of the side, though, doesn't look the strongest. Corey Thompson, I think, will go well. Same with Nofaluma. I feel like they're two guys who are suited for the Nines. Even a Robert Jennings. Moses Mbai, extremely fast. I think he'll do very, very well. But the rest of the side is a lot of sort of fringe players. I mean, Momorowski's there. Luciano Leilua, I think he should do pretty well. Would be disappointing that BJ is not playing because would have been good to have seen those two boys playing in the Nines because I think they would have been outstanding. But yeah, the side, I mean, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's kind of just sort of an average sort of side with potential for sure. Now we move on to the Gold Coast Titans. Now, just looking at them, I feel like there might be a dark horse this competition. Just the players they've got really, really suit the Nines, which probably says a lot about their first grade, NRL regular season team, that they suit the Nines. Defense isn't a big thing in the Nines, and, the Titans don't have much of that in the regular season. But in terms of attacking star power, Brimson's good. Tyron Peachy should suit this. Philip Semi is electric. Then you're adding guys like Bryce Cartwright. I think they'll do quite good. Michael Gordon is their legend. I know he's just retired, but obviously he's retired. He's come back to play. He should be all right for them. But yeah, looking at their side, it is quite decent. I think they're a chance of making it out of the group stages for sure. And last but not least of Pool 3, we have the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Damien Cook there in number 1. Gagai, Murray, Sewer. They've actually fielded a pretty strong team. Braden Burns, Campbell Graham, Ethan Lowe. Bryson Goodwin, he's back at the Rabbitohs. I was going to say he's a legend, but he's actually not. He's fully signed with them. They do have Jack Johns, son of Matthew Johns. We'll see how he goes. But looking at their side, it is quite strong. At least their starters anyways. Like Damien Cook should have a field day in this. Dane Gagai would be another one. Cameron Murray should be so good. Sewer, I feel like he'll suit the Nines. They have a lot of good players in here. I know they've won it in the past. I don't really see them being a team that can win it, but definitely look like a pretty strong team. Now moving on to the final pool, Pool 4, we have the Cowboys, the Storm, the Broncos, and the Sea Eagles. Now looking at the Cowboys first up, they're the inaugural champions, I'm pretty sure. Jake Clifford is there. Drinkwater should be quite good in this Nines format. Kyle Felt, when he plays in Nines, he usually plays quite well. Cohen Hess, they actually fielded a pretty strong team. Isan Masters, Josh Maguire, Opachek or whatever his name is. Jason Tamalalo, he should be outstanding for them. They've actually fielded a pretty strong team, a lot stronger than I thought they might have put out. I think they'll do pretty well in this one. Moving on to the Melbourne Storm, I'm assuming they fielded a bunch of no-names. Just looking through it real quick. Yep, that's essentially the case. Branko Lee's played a bit of first grade. That Nicho Hines, however you pronounce it, I think everyone talks him up. He must be pretty decent. Shandor Earl, I should say. Sevy's played a little bit. Cameron Munster, star of the show there. I think he'll do all right. He'll do good things. Cooper Johns, the other son of Matthew Johns, is there playing. There's a lot of youngsters in the side, but they have a lot of potential to do some damage. I mean, it is the Nines, and like I did say earlier, under 20s were known for being full of attack. So some of these players, I'm assuming, are going to be quite good in attack. So as long as they can outscore the other team, that's all that matters. But Justin Olam, he was very good in the regular season. The Storm will probably be a lot better than what I would assume. I mean, it's a Storm. They're always better than what you look at their team on paper and go, nah, not good. But they always seem to find a way. So I'll assume they'll do half decent in this. Now, moving on to the Broncos side, they're actually a side who I think have a lot of potential in this format. I feel like a fair few of them actually play for Australia in the World Cup Nines, / New Zealand, / Samoa and all that, whatever. But we have Asako, who was actually really good in the Nines. Who else is there? Anthony Milford, I think he suits this format. Brody Croft, another one. Dave Fafita, he'll carve this up. Same with Payne Haas, I think. Alex Glenn, he's quite versatile, can play in the backs and the forward, so I think he should fit this one. Corey Parker is their legend. Don't know how that'll go, but obviously a great player, Corey Parker. See how he goes on a few years later. But who else? Jake Turpin, another good one. Flegler, Jesse Arthur's just come from the Titans, I think it was. He's another decent back. So the Broncos side actually does look pretty good. Guys like Dave Fafita, Milford, Asako, and Payne Haas and that sort of stuff, I think they're really going to carry this side. I think they'll do quite well. Now, moving on to the final team, we have the Manly Sea Eagles. Looking at their side, Docker Clay, I've heard of him. Brendan Elliott, pretty decent for him last year. Ruben Garrick, obviously played for Australia in the Nines. I think he's probably their best player just so far. Martin Tapau's there. I think he should go decent. Kate Cuss will be pretty good in this one. Lachlan Croker, pretty skillful players. But looking at the rest of the side, a lot of randoms, but Des Hasler and the Manly team seem to find a way with all these randoms in the third in the side, so I'm assuming they'll do half decent in the Nines. But like I said, I can't really tell you too much about them. Some of them probably played 1 or 2 first grade games, but other than the handful of players I just named before, don't really know too much about this Manly side. So, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't expect them to get out of the group stages, but who knows. Righto, guys, those are all the squads for the Nines. It starts tomorrow. Leave in the comment section below who has the strongest squad on paper. Also, make sure to let me know who's your team and what do you think of your team and their squad. Also, while you're at it, if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be very much appreciated. It helps out my channel greatly, especially considering I haven't been uploading in a little while. So getting back into the YouTube grind, it does mean a lot to me to see the likes and subscribers going up. It's a great motivator. So would very much appreciate it if you could do it. Go ahead and share the video around. Just do whatever you can. Also, while you're at it, you may as well go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram. It's MrLuke YT. It's on the screen right now. Same as the Facebook page. It's MrLuke Sports, I think. Just search up MrLuke, should come up. And add me on Snapchat as well. MrLuke on YT, same as my Instagram and Twitter. Rightio, that's all I got to say. That's where I'm going to wrap up the video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. The Nines are on tomorrow. I'm excited. Hopefully you are. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video because I'm going to be doing a predictions video. Try and predict the whole tournament. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll see you for tomorrow's video. Bye, guys.